Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Happy Friday. Finally, it's Friday. It's Friday and we've got the whiskey back out because you know what? They're a sponsor today and it's Friday. Also, yesterday was Thursday, and that was our excuse. But anywho, I'm Sara Gonzales. You can find me at AmericanBeautyBySara.com. I am currently wearing Miss America on my lips. You can go get some yourself over at AmericanBeautyBySara.com. You will never see a trans or a man advertise our makeup. We don't believe in it. It's for women only. AmericanBeautyBySara.com. I am joined today by our very own Steve Baker, of course, Blaze Media's investigative journalist himself in the flesh. Again, while he's in town, we're using and abusing him as much as possible. And you know what? He likes it.
I do. I like it a lot.
Also, someone's going to clip that. Someone's going to clip that. Also joined by our very own Eric July, Blaze TV contributor, and of course, founder of Rippaverse, which you need to go check out at Rippaverse.com.
Please.
You just need to go check it out.
That.
Yeah, of course. And by the way, we will thank our flying aces later on this segment. Eric's like better than us, Steve. Eric's better than us. Eric's like straight-laced and stuff, better than us. God. Eric's like, oh, I just love water. Oh, I'll just drink my water.
What's in this cup right here?
He's libertarian, but he's not libertine.
Yeah, exactly. So, Steve, one of the, yesterday we talked about all of the J6 stuff that continues to kind of pop off under your purview because you're the guy that keeps leading the charge on making sure that we don't forget that there are a lot of questions that remain unanswered. But another story that you have kind of been on is this story with Representative Cory Mills over in Florida, who the latest was that he's being evicted from his DC apartment for failing to pay several months of rent. Now, it's interesting because his rent is like almost $21,000 a month?
That's just at the penthouse in D.C. He has another $12,000 a month property on the beach in Florida.
Who among us, I mean, every once in a while, I'm like, I just get several months behind on my $20,000 a month mortgage.
I mean, when you only have a $175,000 paycheck,
yeah,
you've got a $350,000 a month, year rent due. I mean, you might get behind, especially if you're not able to bring in the money you need to bring in from.
Well, listen,
brings that extra money in from.
He is a congressman, and so he is just treating his personal life the way that Congress treats our money, which is we're just going to spend money that we don't have. So, who should expect anything different from someone like that? But you've got kind of you had this whole X thread that you posted online. And so what's the latest with all of this?
Look, I'm going to start off by saying it this way. This was a story I did not want. Mm-hmm. It was brought to me by our editor-in-chief. I was actually down in Florida already working on another story, and he called me up and said, "Hey, much longer are you going to be in Florida?" And to be, full disclosure, I was going through a little bit of a health crisis at the time. Wow. So all I wanted to do was get home to North Carolina and see my doctor. And so I told him, I said, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm out of here. Because Cory Mills, his home district is in Central Florida, and I was right there. And so I took off, and then they started just piling all these documents and all this research that had already been done on Mills, not just that our own reporters were doing at the time, Jill Savage, Peter Giedel, and but there were other journalists also working on this same story, other publications looking at this. And then there were these independent open source investigators that had been looking at for years his alleged stolen valor issues and some other claims related to his money and his businesses and where it all comes from and how he's became an alleged, multimillionaire. And so I wasn't interested. I mean, look, there were some sex stories involved too, and it seemed to me to be a distraction from what I like to do. Mm-hmm. And we don't always get to do what we like to do. Mm-hmm. So I was very politely, as I was on medication back home, and I'd gone through a couple of procedures at the hospital, and I was.
Were you loopy, Steve?
What's that?
Were you loopy?
Oh, look, there's nothing that goes with, Vicodin better than a good bourbon.
Than a good flying aces.
Right. And so I all of a sudden one day I get some information about a particular FBI agent that was investigating Cory Mills allegedly, except that it didn't look right. There was something that didn't look right about this particular FBI agent. It seemed to me more like the FBI agent was investigating our sources to find out what they knew about Cory Mills, not for the agency, but rather for Cory maybe directly. A lot because this would take us to a 2-hour show,
Sure.
And obviously our brother Eric's here right now. We don't want to steal the time.
No, you're good, bro.
But it was a situation where it just didn't pass the smell test, and now I'm interested. And so I dove into the story specifically to investigate the FBI agent.
Right.
That's where I began.
Not that you have any experience in investigating the FBI or
I have experience with him investigating me.
looking into any of the deep state or anything like that. Not that you have experience there.
Yeah, but we don't talk about the other one. Right? No, but we did. I went hard onto this case, even to the point where I confronted the agent at a Memorial Day event in the Orlando area. I was very respectful because of the nature of the event and what it was, but I did get some questions in, which of course she refused to answer. And then we finally took our investigation straight to the 7th floor of the Hoover Building. I mean, it's a long. Again, I'm trying to give the short version of this, but I eventually got this actually to the desk of Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and the General Counsel of the FBI to look at it. And then it just gets weirder after that. Okay, but now, so I'm going to leave that alone and say, but okay, now I'm fully engaged because in the process of investigating the investigators, I began to learn a lot more about Representative Mills than I ever wanted to know, and that includes the business operations, foreign weapons trading business that he is in, the various offices that he still has set up around the world, like in Kabul, Afghanistan.
That's an interesting.
Pakistan.
Okay.
And this is a guy that we thought here at the Blaze was Captain America. Glenn Beck had him on the podcast right after the rescues in Western North Carolina that Cory Mills, Representative Cory Mills participated in.
We call him Core.
Or I call it the Cory story. That's where I'm at with this right now. And it is a situation where we've been forced to reconsider everything that we thought about him on every plane and in every aspect of his life. Not only the contradictions in his religion, he's been openly contradictory himself about what he believes, who he believes, where he goes to church, who his pastors are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Massive amount of stolen valor accusations. Most of the men that he served with overseas want to see him in prison for his claims of his heroism that never happened.
Oof.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. Stolen valor is a crime.
Yeah.
And then we get into the sexcapades, which we're not covering. There's another publication that's going to cover some of that, but we know about it. And then there was the nexus that started us, which was the fact that our own Jill Savage, the host of The Mandate here at the Blaze, was basically being flirted with by Representative Mills, going all the way back to Western North Carolina in a meeting that they had with him there during his rescue operations, and while she and Glenn Beck traveled up there together with Mercury One, and that's where they met, and that's where we heard the first lie from Cory Mills, where he told her, I'm really lonely, and he says it in front of everybody on the helicopter. It was kind of a strange dynamic and a strange place to go into a sob story about how he's been alone for so long. He hasn't been with anybody for over a year, and I'm just really lonely.
Yeah, never trust a married man. Regardless of what
This
they
is
say.
this is a married man,
advice.
right? Saying
He's
this.
married. That's
and then fast forward to February 19th of this year. So this was early October, where he had the lonely story. Now so he and Jill exchanged phone numbers. I mean, he's a congressman. He's allegedly a multimillionaire, the best dressed man in Washington.
Is he?
That's what they say.
Whoop, I don't say it.
I mean, I know. I mean, he does wear lifts as well. But there is that. And so
That's automatic disqualification.
It is what
Sorry, Cor.
So
Can I still call you Cor? No, sorry, you're not.
But what happened is while they were having their, kind of building a relationship by sending messages to each other and planning on going out, they never, because of, distance and jobs and that sort of thing, they never were able to actually have that first date. But on February 19th, there was a police call at 1:15 p.m. at that luxury $21,000 per month penthouse apartment, in which the police were called in on a domestic violence issue by a young 27-year-old girl of Iranian descent, who we learned later, Sarah Rabiani, is the girl that had been living with Cory actually for over a year. But on the helicopter, the story was, I'm lonely and
it seems like he's asking everyone out. He just can't keep it in his pants. It sounds like allegedly, Cor. Right. Allegedly. That's all I'm saying.
Allegedly.
But so he had this, there was court documents of it, the failure to pay. And he's still in this X space that were you in it or you just found it later on?
No. Well, first of all, there's court documents of the domestic violence call.
Mm-hmm.
We've published those. They're court documents of the tenant or the management company of his apartment.
Right.
Actually going to the Superior Court of D.C. and filing a suit for eviction against the congressman. But this eviction process had begun all the way back in January of this year. It wasn't brand new.
Right.
So there's when I said earlier, there's just so many overlapping things here. Yeah. It gets crazy, it gets confusing. Bottom line is the walls are closing in around him. His life is falling apart. He's not who he says he is. He's never been who he's claimed to. All the way going back from his time in the service to his time working for the contractors, these security contractors like Blackwater and DynCorp and those kinds of things that provide security for VIPs overseas. Even they fired him once they found out about the stolen valor issues. It just goes on and on and on and on. And then he marries an Iraqi woman in 2014 and is married by one of the most radical muftis in the entire country, who was an unindicted co-conspirator in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. The mufti himself, member of the Muslim Brotherhood, outspoken. So many terrorists have come from that mosque in just outside of D.C., including the shoe bomber. The whole thing, why we had to take our shoes off to board a plane for something.
Which we don't have to anymore. Thank you, President Trump.
Right.
Even if you're not pre-check, you don't have to take off your shoes anymore.
And then you come all the way up to this, which I did this, X thread yesterday on, about his lies about the actual eviction and the non-payment of his rent. It's every single time he opens his mouth. We are on Sara Unfiltered, right? Yeah. Every time he opens his mouth, he steps on his and again, and then we have the receipts to prove it. And ultimately, it's his that's going to get him in trouble because that is what has led him to the place. Because if the February 19th thing had not happened, Jill would have never known that she was lied to on that helicopter, that he was, a completely lonely man with nobody else in his life. And that's when it was like, okay, well, if he lied to us about that, what else did he lie to us about?
Yeah, that's why you just don't trust married men. Doesn't matter what story they give you, you just don't trust them. It's like, what does being in Congress turn these people into power-hungry criminals, or does it just attracts that type of person to begin with? That's what I
there's a little bit of both, but I think that it's almost a prerequisite to be in that position, that you kind of have to be an absolute scumbag. And sure, there are going to be those exceptions. Right. I know people are going to be like, well, what about this congressman that I like? I totally understand and I empathize with that. But looking at
those are the ones that want term limits.
Yes, right? And those are often the ones that want the government to be less involved in everybody's life for the most part anyway. But that's not the majority of the Congress, whether they have an R next to the name or a D next to the name. So, yeah, it's definitely hearing the story and how far that it goes back, it kind of lends itself to the idea that, well, it attracts these types of people because it does sort of grant in some capacity a little bit of immunity if you are an absolute scumbag and you also are a Congress folk, because we know that they're doing shady things, especially with regards to money.
Right.
Like, I mean, we talk about it. I feel like every week we're talking about Nancy Pelosi and just how she's the best trader that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Impeccable
timing.
I mean,
incredible.
She is amazing, right? She is absolutely amazing. But so we
might call her psychic.
maybe, perhaps, but unless she is psychic, right? I can't really justify. I don't think anybody can try to justify. So we know that, okay, there's schemes and scams going on, but nothing happens.
Right.
Nothing seems to happen to these types. I mean, these people, not triple, not quadruple. I mean, you're talking about like they will come in being a bartender or something, former bartender, and they come out being worth millions of dollars in a position that you only get paid, what do we say, $175,000 a year, however much it is, right?
Yep.
We all know that there's some schemes and scams going on.
I'm really bad at math, but even I know that just
that's not how it works. Definitely on that. We know that obviously this man's supposedly been involved in some business. I don't know how legitimate or how illegitimate some of that stuff for sure may be in terms of how he acquired his wealth. But yeah, anybody's red flags go off with anybody. It should when you see, wait a minute, this person's only making this amount of money and they got penthouses and all this other stuff going on. And yeah, hearing that is kind of wild. Married an Iraqi chick, shacked up with an Iranian chick, or vice versa. I don't remember how exactly you were explaining.
It's all
wild. It's all wild.
It kind of just adds to the point.
Yeah, right.
Like you can't even keep track of what's what.
Out of control is what it is. And yeah, man, I mean, let that be a lesson to anybody, especially young brothers out there, man. Don't not let you get you in trouble, bro.
Yeah,
because it always will. It doesn't matter at what level that you're at. You're not completely immune from it. Though you do kind of accumulate this power, it does sort of again grant semi immunity, but ultimately it'll catch up with you, especially if you're as aggressive as this guy flying on helicopters, telling people he's lonely when he's shacking up with people from everywhere.
Yeah, everyone. So I always felt like, at least for president, maybe it's different for Congress. And I want you guys to tell me it's okay if you disagree. It's just me personally. I have felt like you have to have some level of narcissism to be president of the United States. I just do. Right? Like you have to have some level of that. You have to have the swagger. You have to consider yourself very important.
You have to believe you're the best person in the world.
You have to. Have to. So like, I get it. With president, it's like, all right. I mean, you've got to have a certain level of that to even want to do it, because it takes a lot to want to do that. And I wonder if it's like that for Congress, but it's just so different with Congress. I don't know. So Eric thinks that position attracts that type of person to begin with. What do you think?
I agree with Eric 100%. First of all, we've always heard it said that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. But my favorite author, Frank Herbert, who actually authored Dune, book Dune, he said in one of the Dune novels, he said that's not actually the case. He said the problem is that power attracts the corruptible. And that's the issue. Yeah. And so you have to, even at a congressional level, okay, we all concede there are exceptions to the rule. There are men and women who genuinely want to serve. And I believe that on both sides of that. From their own worldview, from their own political perspective, they genuinely want to serve their community, and they're willing to make the sacrifices. And this is before they're infected by the swamp. But it still takes a certain amount of corruptibility to go through the process to get there. The process is just as corrupt as it can be, beginning at the filing for your seat that you want to win an election for in a primary, and then what you have to do in terms of your compromises with your own party in order to get support, in order to raise money. It's corrupt from beginning to the end.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep us posted on what's going on with that story. I mean, I do believe that you have to be willing to call out your own house before you can throw stones at the other house. So it is important that if we're going to call out the left for being gay and retarded, we should probably call.
Well, we have another one coming out Monday morning on this series, and it's devastating.
Oh, gosh. I'd hate to be Cory Mills this weekend. Anywho, more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile, this segment. So I love the folks over at Patriot Mobile are some of my favorite people in the entire world. Glenn and Jenny Story are some of my dear friends. They are the founders of Patriot Mobile. And they really are. I mean, it says it in the name. They are really true patriots. And what they're doing is something unheard of, which is instead of, if you're still with Big Mobile, actually, Big Mobile is taking a portion of your phone bill every month, and they are donating it to left-leaning causes that if you're still watching this program, you're fighting against. What Patriot Mobile does is the exact opposite. They're going to take a portion of that bill, and they're going to donate it towards causes that you are fighting for, that you are with. They believe in the Constitution. They believe in our founding documents, and they are standing in the gap for every American that believes that freedom is worth fighting for. So here's what I'm telling you to do. They've got the same nationwide cell phone service. They've got access to all three of the main networks. So you're not going to lose anything in coverage. You can port your number over, or you can get a new one. You can keep your phone, or you can get a new one. So it's really, really easy to switch. All I'm telling you to do is go to patriotmobile.com/Sarah and go see how much money that they could save you, because odds are they're going to save you a little bit of money as well. And you'll know that you can switch, you can save money, and you can go with a company that doesn't hate your guts like Big Mobile. patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Use promo code Sarah for a free month of service over at patriotmobile.com/Sarah. All right, before we get into this next segment, got to remind you guys, if you're watching on YouTube right now, make sure that you are subscribed to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. If you're not watching on YouTube right now, we'll wait. Just go over youtube.com/ they make it weird now. They have the little @ symbol.
Oh, yeah.
youtube.com/ @Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Don't put an H in that, Sarah. It's totally unnecessary. Does your wife have an H in her name? Oh my gosh, one of our crew members. You're dismissed. You can go now. I'm just kidding. So make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure to hit the like button and comment. It'll help us in the algorithm, which we all know is stacked against us. So Donald Trump was asked after the DOJ met with Ghislaine Maxwell. They met with her at her prison. There was a picture of her. I don't think we have it. I should look and see if I can find it. There was a picture of her with the carrying back in from her meeting, this like big white box. Files, I would presume. I don't know what's in it, but she was walking back into the prison with that box. And President Trump was asked this morning about Ghislaine Maxwell and whether or not he would pardon her. Here's what he had to say.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if
it's something I haven't thought about. It's really something recommended. It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
Now, I will say this. People want to read into President Trump's responses to questions. I tend not to do that. He's just a talker. He just talks. And the greatest example I have of this, which Steve, you should be able to appreciate, is several years ago, I had the opportunity to ask President Trump directly whether or not he would pardon all of the January 6th nonviolent, I called them political prisoners. But would you pardon them if you were reelected? And it's like something in me could tell that the answer was yes, but he didn't want to say it was yes. So he's like, well, we're really looking into it. I can tell you that we've really been looking at it, and the way that they've been treated is very unfairly, and we're really looking. And I was just like, why won't you just give an answer? It's just not him. He just doesn't do it. Right. And so he gave this non-answer answer. But we've got this story and it's still ongoing. And the White House gave kind of an update and said that they haven't discussed or considered a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. They said there never will be a pardon for her, but they are meeting with her. The DOJ has met with her. Who knows what's going to come out of that? Again, I approach this entire thing with great caution because she's here to tell a tale that a dead man cannot refute. So now we are left with just taking a convicted child sex trafficker at her word. And for lack of a better term, that feels icky. So it's just not a good situation. But, I just think that transparency is going to be key here with the way that the Trump administration has bungled this from the beginning. Eric?
No, you're right. And it's like, let's say that she goes on record and she talks about this and completely denies that there's any client list per se. However you want to word that. People are I mean, I think we're getting stuck too much on client lists and need to be focusing more on the fact that, yes, we know they're co-conspirators that were part of this whole operation. Who are they? And I don't think anybody's going to believe her, though, if she comes out and says, "There's just me and old Jeffrey Epstein doing this." Nobody's going to believe that shit. And I wouldn't put it past, government officials to nudge her in whatever way to have her say that, because that would then basically get everybody off the hook. I think this is a very nasty situation. I think the information that's tied up in all of this, which is why they're keeping it so close to the chest, seems to be something that would perhaps destroy nations. You know what I mean? Like, I believe, and that's what I believe. Like, I'm not saying that, and I did my research on this. I know we talked about this on the show before, but I think people need to pay attention to, especially the original indictment when he got that sweetheart deal back in 2007, or from that operation that happened in 2007. It has been known for a very long time that this man was child sex trafficking among other people or with others involved. In the original indictment, it literally states known and unknown individuals, right? So we know that it's not just
and it also stated that he was cooperating with the FBI.
Right, exactly. And we already know what that, I mean, especially when you're dealing with Epstein in particular, he got a sweetheart deal before.
Right.
So nothing, I don't put it past them to give him another one like, hey man, you shut up. Or you say, which they, in 2019, like, oh, well, there's nobody else involved or whatever. You say that, okay, that's what we need you to say. But to me, I don't think there's any way, unless you just want to call us stupid, I don't think there's really any way that anybody's going to believe that it was just two co-conspirators, Maxwell and Epstein, because none of that makes any damn sense whatsoever. Because you got to also understand what all that implies as well, that all these powerful people that were around them had absolutely no idea that any of this was going on. Again, I can't believe that either.
Which, correct. I will say, I do think that there are a certain number of people who did not know.
Oh, for sure.
Or who, when they found out, distanced themselves.
Well, yeah,
from him.
I don't think
that's the problem. Is like we've been using this term, the Epstein files,
right.
And it's like, well, there could be a lot of people's names that come out there, including President Trump, by the way.
Stacey said that he was on it, but he didn't do anything.
Right.
But so that's why he was telling people to.
He said, "I want everything to be released.
Release everything.
Everything
I was on it, but I didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything.
So yeah, I for sure there are people that are connected to this, and some, or at least knew him, that didn't know that he was doing some weird, beyond weird stuff.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I don't believe that none of them knew.
Sure. Oh, of course
you know what I mean?
I
I just can't believe that at all. And especially looking at his rise to kind of like, again, power. I don't want to say, I know I often cuss on the show every now and then, but I don't want to go.
It's called Unfiltered.
I don't want to go too crazy today. But guys, do we seriously believe that just some random financier was among all these powerful people just because he was good at finance?
Yeah.
Seriously?
I know. Well,
think about it's Jeffrey freaking Epstein. We're not talking about someone that's become some celebrity, because of what he, like Trump, like what he did in business, or he's some celebrity actor or actress or something like. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a random finance guy.
Yeah.
That just, and it's not like he's just kicking it among these people. They know him.
Right.
They know him on a first obviously and last name basis, and they kick it with him.
Yeah.
You on tape kicking it with him.
Yeah.
I don't believe that you get in that position just by just being a good guy that's good at finance. I work for a couple of banks, investment guys, and here I am. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, every time you and I do this show together, it's like our brains are joined.
It is.
Yeah.
Because when you said this is nation-destroying level business, this was my tweet even just a week ago, and this was a reiteration of what I said. I said, I am sticking with my first theory, and that is the reason why Trump wants this to go away, is he has made a decision. Some people really don't like what I'm about to say. He has made a decision to lie to the world that there is no such a list, because the list itself will bring down our own country. It's a mutually assured destruction. Left, right, financiers, business leaders, world leaders, elites, all across the board that will be implicated in this. And again, you're exactly right. I've seen the FBI document. I actually have the FBI document where he was indicted for, let's just call it what it is. It says on the FBI document he was indicted in 2006 for child prostitution.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means there are clients, period.
Yeah.
And so I know people get mad when I say the president has chosen to lie to save the country. And then, of course, there's a lot of people say, just burn it all down. I want to see the list.
Right.
I'm in that ledger.
Yeah, me too.
I just want to see the list.
Me too. Me
And
too. I think
and there's not much that would burn down that I'm going to miss anyway.
Right.
To be fair.
Right. So, but I think
oh no, another government shutdown. Whatever will we do?
I think it is as a difficult. I think that was as difficult a decision, and I'm giving the president grace here. Okay, I think it was as difficult a decision for him to make that decision as it was to send bombers to Iran, because he could have started World War III that night.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the bearing that responsibility, I think both of them were of equal import and consequence at the end of the day. And that's the level of decisions that we ask presidents to, and the burdens that we ask them to bear, whether we like the ultimate decisions or not. But in this particular case, I believe that. And if I was ever able to sit down and have a Big Mac with President Trump privately sometime,
That's what you
I'm not going to have a whiskey with him. He doesn't drink.
Right.
But if I was able to ever have a private conversation with him, I would ask him off the record, between me and you lied to save the country, didn't you?
Yeah. 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 I mean, I certainly wouldn't want the responsibility of making that decision. But so before we go to break, I do want to go ahead and show my screen here still. Yeah. That's the box that she's carrying back into the facility.
The ones that were on, what's his name's desk?
Files on Pam Bondi's desk.
Carrying
those
files.
Those are right. Those are the files that we were told existed, that were on Pam Bondi's desk, and then they didn't exist, and now they exist again. And Ghislaine Maxwell has them.
They have the files imprisoned with Maxwell.
Yes.
Interesting.
I think the most unfortunate. Okay, you can take that off now. I think the most unfortunate part of all of this is, what will be said if she does talk and she does say, which, by the way, all evidence points to. Donald Trump knew him. They were friends. They went in the same circles. And when he found out who Jeffrey Epstein really was, he parted ways with him. He denied him entry to Mar-a-Lago. That's all out there. That's part of history, right? So, but I think the unfortunate part will be if Ghislaine Maxwell does follow up and say, these are the people that were on it. No, Donald Trump ever did anything like this. They'll say, oh, well, she's just saying that because she wants a pardon. Oh, well, she's just saying that because Trump's the president and she wants to work with the DOJ.
Situation.
He's never going to win with this.
I don't think he will, because again, unless she comes out and confirms what everybody, believes to have come from this, where she starts naming off all these powerful people that were part of that. But yeah, nobody's going to believe her if she's just like, hey, man, nothing.
Trump didn't have anything to do with it. They're going to say, oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, nobody's going to believe
Yeah, right.
Nobody's
She's just a liar.
No
one.
So he's in an impossible situation with that. But yeah, I'm very much in the camp of, okay, it does appear that maybe not even just with America, that this could really implicate a lot of powerful people in a lot of powerful positions all across the world.
Like Israel?
Potentially, yes. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole on this show, but that's quite the rabbit hole if you really start doing your research on this.
Look, we're out of time. It's time to go to break. That's so crazy.
How convenient.
I know. It actually really is. And I want to tell you guys about, before we do go to break, we mentioned Flying Ace Spirits. Okay, so this is, Steve, how great is this bourbon?
It's actually really good.
It's so good.
I am I'm not going to say that
You're
I'm
a
a
connoisseur.
bourbon connoisseur. I'm more of
are.
a Scotch guy, but for bourbon that are American made whiskey, that's really, really.
You're helping me with the ad. You're a damn connoisseur, Steve.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a connoisseur.
He's a connoisseur.
of
He's
American
He's just
whiskeys.
being bashful. Okay, he is a connoisseur of American whiskeys. But I mean, I love that you mentioned that they are an American whiskey, but they're American made. So check them out. They are unapologetically American, aged a minimum of 3 years. This bottle says, made from American grown grains, and it's really delicious stuff. I mean, Steve was chugging it yesterday, and he said it didn't even burn. I'm just kidding. Maybe. I don't know. You tell me. But it's a great company and they are great Americans. So support an American-made whiskey, support American-loving companies, and go to Flying Ace Spirits. Use code BLAZE for free shipping. I'm going to pour me some more right now because it's Friday. FlyingAcespirits.com. Use code BLAZE for free shipping. Blaze. So I saw a post that said, number one, on the topic of immigration, which, by the way, I don't have it out, but you guys need to go to saramerch.com and go get a support your local ICE raids coffee mug or t-shirt or hoodie. I don't know why you'd want to wear a hoodie in July, but if you do, or hat, saramerch.com. We also have one, Stu, I don't think that you have the visual for this, but we also have one that says Trump Vance 2025, deporting family. No, it says Trump Vance deporting families together since 2025. So go check that out as well. That's a hot one. But I saw that the Trump administration had announced that they had rescued, I think it was like 31,000 of the children that went missing under the Biden administration. Now, you could say that's a small drop in the bucket compared to how many are still missing, because it's like between 300,000 and 400,000 children that are still missing. We have no account for their whereabouts. They just were brought in here, taken with a sponsor who was totally unvetted, and we have not been able to keep track of them. But they are, at least for the lack of, I don't want to say lack, for the slow procedure that it has been in getting these illegals out of the country, I at least take solace in the fact that they are finding these missing children. Like, that is a huge deal to me. So I'm glad about that. But over in the state of New York City, according to the Department of Homeland Security, is just ignoring like at least 6,000 detainers that ICE has sent. So obviously they're sending the detainers so that these criminals can be detained by local authorities so that they can transfer them to federal custody so that ICE can get them the hell out of our country. And New York City is just completely ignoring all of these requests, which is pretty crazy, especially with Eric Adams. Like, I don't know what planet he thinks he's living on, but I just can't imagine that New York City, with the increase in crime, with the increase in people who are upset about, I don't know, I can't walk past the Roosevelt Hotel anymore without all of these illegals out there like roasting cats. I don't know what they're doing, but like, it's a total disaster out there. And I don't know. They're like, no, we're just not going to cooperate. It's so crazy to see them doubling down on stupid. Like, this is what won President Trump the election, right? The topic of illegal immigration, the fact that people are done with these illegal criminals being in our country. We want them the hell out. And New York City's like, no, they get to stay.
First of all, the disconnect between what the left wants, what they believe, especially as it relates to illegal immigration, is I have only one way to explain it. And I've said this before. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on your show, Sarah, but when my daughter was in college and even in high school, because she already knew what she wanted her career to be, and I helped her study, I helped her, prepare her theses and her research papers and all of this, and we would be sitting, and even when she got into college and we were able to sit at a bar together with a beer, and we'd have our two laptops across the table from one another, and we would be working through the night on whatever project she was on. When we hit an answer or we hit a question to which there was no answer, we would look up over the top of our laptops and in stereo go, spiritual darkness. because that's the only explanation for why the left is entirely unified on the issue of not arresting the criminals. We can argue all day in our libertarian world about borders.
Right.
But when we're talking about the illegals here that are abusing children, that are raping, that are murdering, committing, are doing all manner of human trafficking, and then we find those even Americans for whom these, because we're hearing those stories now about the children who have been trafficked and held in homes by their sponsors, and what horrors are taking place with these children. Those stories are beginning to come out. And the fact that the left will not come over even 1 inch to our side on that.
Yeah.
Spiritual darkness.
Yeah.
Period.
It's actually nuts. Like, I would think that they would do it solely for the optics, not because they have any sort of morals. Literally just for political reasons, that they would understand the importance of just pretending. And they can't even do that.
Yeah, I would have thought they would have had some sense slapped into them just looking at the previous election and the results of it, and how that was a leading issue for a lot of people, including folks that came generally from the center or even the left and ended up voting for Trump. That was the decisive sort of issue from it, because I think as it got worse, people that were often far removed from this as an issue started to have their own communities be impacted by this, like the Chicagos of the world, and having them these folks be bussed all across the nation in these cities that really don't have to deal with the issue, at least not to the degree that they like a Texas or a bordering country, bordering like a state like that. They don't see it in a similar way. It's like an out of sight, out of mind thing. And again, I say this definitely as someone that has lived in South Texas I spent all my college years in South Texas, lived there for 2 years after that, between Corpus as well as Laredo. And the stuff that I've seen, that opened anybody's eyes. It's like, this is wild, man. And the fact this is happening in this country, this is wild. And that was back in the early, 2010s when I was seeing that. I could imagine just how bad it's gotten since then. But this is an issue that they're losing on, and it is interesting to see. And that's where you really have to. They have to find this politically advantageous in some way. Otherwise, the more obvious political position would be, even if just from an optic standpoint, you pretend to be against this.
Right.
Just pretend to
right.
be
Just
against
pretend.
it. So now I'm like, what else? Aside from, okay, well, these people will end up being able to vote and they'll vote for us type of situation. Outside of that, I can't really think of why exactly they would advocate for something like this. People are watching their areas in such a short period of time, watching places that they've grown up in just become just nothing like what it was before because of the immigration issue. It's like not even recognizable, right? And as more time progresses and people continue to see that, I just think that this is going to get worse for them. But I'm trying to be cautious on this, because I'm like, okay, yeah, it's politically advantageous for them to take the position, that a similar position to like a Trump and his administration. So they must, I'm just trying to rationalize with them, unless you're stupid, they must find it politically advantageous for a different reason. What that is, I don't know. I don't know.
They are pretty retarded, so maybe. I don't think that's going to end well for them. Last word, go ahead, real quick.
I can't think of a single prominent voice on the Democratic side, or the left, who has ever stood up for the victim of a trafficking or immigration or illegal immigration issue.
Nope.
Never. I can't think of one instance.
Nope.
Why are they universally silent?
Yeah, it was whoever the guy was that was from it was the Maryland father, and the guy, I've already forgotten his name, whoever the hell it is. Well, yeah, Abrego Garcia, but whoever the congressman is or whatever who flew.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I forget which. Sorry, your 15 minutes of fame is up.
Right.
But he was such a big stink about it. And meanwhile, Rachel Morin, who was a woman from Maryland who was killed by an illegal in a horrific murder, that man had not even uttered Rachel Morin's name. from Maryland, one of his constituents, couldn't be bothered to do anything for her or her family or even talk about her, but flew all the way the hell to El Salvador because Maryland father,
get free.
Yeah, Maryland father, illegal criminal, was over in El Salvador because we kicked him the hell out. So, I mean, these people are, I just don't think that this is, I do think that they're taking a wager. I don't think it's a smart one. But I guess we'll see. All right, we've got to take another quick break. The story that we're going to get to next, this is just such a chef's kiss when we return. So we were just talking about the Democrats being absolutely mind-numbingly retarded, and I think that this graph that they posted on their X account proves it. This is, so beautiful. Trump's America, U.S. grocery prices reached record highs in 2025. It's just that when you look at you see a vast increase, don't you? Oh, it's just that it happened under Joe Biden's watch, and that's October 2020. That's still very low. And then, woo, sky high, October 2021. It's still tracking up. 2022, still tracking up. 2023, still tracking up. 2024 of October, still tracking up. What do you guys notice about all of those dates?
Biden administration.
It wasn't Donald Trump at all. It was still Joe Biden. And somehow they thought, oh, we're really going to get him here. We're going to get him here. No, that was you. That was you guys. You did that. You did that. And you're so dumb, you didn't even realize that it was stupid to post. They posted it on their own accounts. Like, you can't make this up.
Then they deleted it after the fact.
Then they deleted it. Then they deleted it.
Hilarious.
Didn't we talk about the gruel yesterday?
Yes, thin gruel.
This is the thin gruel. This is the same exact thing.
Yep.
Is they just have to throw it out there with the insinuation, and their side doesn't read past the headline.
Right.
And this one was so easy. That's why I reposted it immediately, because it was so easy. It was like, this was a gift on a silver platter with antique linen, and a perfectly mixed martini. This was perfect. Yeah. They gave it to us.
Right.
To humiliate them once again, because they know their people won't read past the headline.
And that's why, Eric, to your point, I do agree. They do think that taking the retarded route is going to work for them. I just think they're too stupid to understand it's not going to end well.
It's a combination of both. I mean, you're dealing with bad people and evil people, but stupid evil people, I would argue, are the most dangerous people that are out there.
Yes.
They'll run your country into the ground.
People who don't understand, they're stupid.
Well, there
is a difference.
Oh yeah, that's because when you lack the. Well, I think that's the difference between ignorance and stupidity, right?
Sure.
Stupidity is when you knowingly are ignorant on something, but you still speak loudly and aggressively about it, and that's often what we get out of Democrats.
Right.
So which are I want you to characterize for me: white liberal women are stupid or ignorant?
Oh
yes.
Oh.